Well, hello, everyone. It is Prince Mike Howe, author of the new book, No Time Like the Present. Oh, so I am so excited to be here with y'all on today. As y'all see, I have this beautiful woman to my, well, it's going to show to my left, but it's to my right. I have the Tam Lawrence on here. Hey, Auntie Carlette, how you doing? Oh my God. So y'all have no idea the treat that y'all are actually in for on tonight. Hey, Byron, I see you, brother. Y'all have no idea the treat that I have cooked up for y'all on tonight. I have the Tam Lawrence here, okay? The Tam Lawrence, okay? So I'm just going to give y'all a little snippet about who Tam Lawrence is. Tam has an extensive, I'm going to have her elaborate on this, but she has an extensive background in public relations. She is one of the top names that I have cooked. Hello? Can y'all hear me? Okay. Tam is one of the top name. Like, if you think of anybody that is a household name, Tam is that household name person. She is friends to the stars, and she also is the CEO. Okay, not the person that you go, oh, like that's my boss. No, she is the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer of Exposure on Demand TV. So I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much, Tam, for giving me part of your day on tonight. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. So, okay, so we're just going to go ahead and just jump right into it. But before I do that, I have to pay homage and say thank you so much, Brandy Johnson. Brandy is also called the connector. She is the one that's running the ones and twos in the back because I'm not this tech savvy. So she's the one that's actually controlling all of this in the background for me. So thank you so much, Brandy. So we're going to just go ahead and jump right into it. So I know that you have done so many things, Tam. I mean, when I was reading up on you, your resume is pages upon pages long. I mean, this isn't just someone that says, oh, I'm really good at speaking, I'm good at marketing. No, you actually have a degree in this. Like, this is what you do. This has been your life. So tell us, I want you to brag on you just a little bit, okay? So that these people know who Tam Lawrence is.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. I am honored, though. I truly am, and humbled by all that I have been through. I tell people all the time that my pain that I have endured through this walk has been a manifestation of my purpose. And so, starting out in this industry, I really thought I was going to be on the other side of entertainment because I started out as a comedian in college. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the comedian, girl. I know. You know what? I would have never actually thought that you would have been a comedian, ever, ever. Yeah. But oh my gosh! So I just want to, I think I froze for a second. So I just want to go ahead and I'm going to open up the floor and I'm going to ask you this first question. You have accomplished so much in your 25 years of life. So I just want to go and I want to ask you, what do you believe is the best way for a person to get exposed? Because your company is called Exposure. So we're going to be talking about exposure and the correct exposure. So what is the best way for a person to get exposed?
Well, first and foremost, exposure should be intentional. Intentionality is something that I teach my clients. You want to be intentional. There's bad publicity and there's good. And sometimes even bad publicity, let's say in Kim Kardashian situation, could also end up in maybe a financial increase or some generational wealth there. But what is the question about exposure is, I'm going to try to be a straight shooter with you because this is where my heart.
Right ahead, girl.
For me is to stand in your truth and to be who you are authentically and to be the original you. And a lot of times I think we get bombarded with social media and things of that nature, and we become we become a duplication of somebody else, a copy.
Mm-hmm.
So I always tell people to just stand in your truth. And if something happened, tell it first. You know what I'm saying? Be the first to tell it, get the story straight, because there is a public opinion and then there is a jury and all that wonderful stuff that's out there. And everybody is very judgmental, even though the Bible says to judge not, at least ye be judged by the same measure. I find more on social media than I do in the courtroom. So at the end of the day, I think that it's always best to be truthful and honest and stand in it. And no matter what it is, this too shall pass. So you just have to know, you just want to be authentic. I think that's the main thing.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So let's go. Let me ask you this. So you have not always been at this point. I mean, because when I see you, I see this powerhouse. I see this woman that is working tirelessly, just going back and forth, doing so many different things. But I know that no one has just been born to be able to just say, oh, hey, I have all this already. So how did you actually get to where you are now? Like, what are some of the things that you've actually had to overcome to get to where you are?
One was being a teenage parent. When I was 14, I was raped by a young man in our neighborhood. And I ended up having to go live in a trailer park with my grandmother on the south side of Chicago. So I remember at night, me and her chasing mice out the trailer. And her telling me how, when this is over, baby, you go as far as you possibly can in life and you never look back. And so I was a reader. And so I would read books and they would take me away from the trailer park. But it was one thing about the trailer park that I love very much so, and that was the community. We had our own little Wakanda. Miss Jackson down the street, she sold socks. And the lady across the street, she made barbecue dinner. And the other lady down way, there was another lady that was a hairdresser. She was my hairdresser. She did my hair. And then I had, several of the women who would always take care of me. We would go to the Goodwill and buy my son all kind of little stuff and things of that nature. So yeah, I come from a really interesting background. And so I love going back to my sisters that are on welfare and encouraging them to stay the course, trust the process, and to know that anything that God has taken you through, he built you for that. So I was built for a time like this.
Girl, you preaching right now. You are absolutely preaching right now. So I'm going to slide over to the comments real quick. So we have, let's see, Betty Speaks. She said, awesome. Carlette Wilson, she said, amen, one of my favorite scriptures. Betty Speaks says, this too shall pass. Antoinette Marie Williams, I absolutely adore you, girlfriend. And she would say, beloved. Hello, Tam and Prince. Betty Speaks says, love Miss Tam Lawrence. And Auntie Carlette said, powerful testimony. Honey, yes. Now, you said something that was very key when the last question that I asked you, and you said, if something happens, you tell the story first. Why? What is the purpose of actually telling something first? Like, shouldn't a person just keep their skeletons in their closet for as long as they can, and then after it actually comes out, then you say something? Or why should a person just go ahead and get in front of it? Why should a person do that?
Oh, wow. Because when you tell it, then it's done and over with. It's done in one, and when you allow media to pick it up, we're going to turn it, twist it. And let me just say this, media is the most powerful instrument. Malcolm X said that media can make the guilty innocent and the innocent guilty. So when you allow, and let me just say this, media isn't just CNN, NBC, ABC, and Fox. Media is now in the hands of the people, as we've seen in George Floyd's case and some other cases, and Breonna case. we would have never saw those cases or understood what actually took place if we did not see it in social media. So social media runs hand in hand now with our mainstream media networks. And I'm going to say this because I just recently had somebody who read my book and then they didn't like me anymore. And she decided to tell everybody what happened to me as a child. And I thought, why didn't I tell my side of the story before people found out? And then they would make up whatever they thought in their heads about me. But when I was 17 years old, now I'm 14, I live in a trailer park. My mother hid me because she didn't want my father. The Nation of Islam had already said that females who out of wedlock have babies could no longer return to the mosque. The Apostolic Pentecostal church that she attended said I could no longer come back around the other kids. So at which point in time I was pretty much ostracized outside of the church and didn't have a home to go to other than my grandmother, and be far away as possible from family and from church members. So this is only part of the journey, because at 17 years old, I come back to a state that that told me that I was no longer any good, because that's what the statistics said. That's what, statistics say, that we're going to be generational welfare, this kind of thing. But I break all stereotypes. I surely do. And so I was at home this summer visiting with my mom at 17 years old, and I came to see my parents and they wanted to see the baby. And that summer, a man named Michael Beauchamp snatched me and kidnapped me off the front porch of my parents' home. So for 2 years, I literally was taken to Paterson, New Jersey, then Brigantine, New Jersey, and was put into human trafficking. So when she began to tell my story, it broke my heart that they thought it was a joke, and how they deemed me not worthy of being around. And even pastors and people who I went to just talk to them about what took place and what happened. Now, this was out of my control. So at the end of the day, exposure for me was what I was exposed to. Wasn't my intent to be in those situations. But when I got out of those situations, it was my intent to be the best me that I could ever be and never give up on myself. And I am enough. So that's where
Girl, you are like the epitome of strength, the epitome of resilience. That's what I see. That is what I see. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's amazing. You have one of those stories that, because when I was actually reading online, I read all of the, all the accolades, all of those things. And I'm just like, no, honey, we got to dive, because I love that, but I need people to be able to relate to you. And when because I see the comments of people that are actually commenting right now. So I'm just like, yes, honey, yeah, that's terrible. That's terrible. So let's shift gears a little bit. So let's fast forward. Now you're in your career. You're working. And now you are actually the CEO of Exposure On Demand TV and Exposure Magazine. So how did that come to be? How did you get from point A to point B, going from college and then, fast forwarding, and then now you're the CEO? So tell all of us, how did you actually get to that point?
Oh my God. I don't think anybody would want my shoes, but you can have these shoes. Ready to go. Let's go. Because I'll never be afraid to speak of the gospel and to share my testimony, because I know that this was not by mistake. God is intentional, Mm-hmm. And so I started with my mother making the obituaries. We did the brochures for the church. We would do everything back then. It was like in high school, I would get out of school, go to Fendi Library, sit down with my mother with some glue, some whiteout, and some scissors, right? So I knew I wanted to be in graphic design. That was just my thing. Like, I love it like no other. I can sit up all day long with software solutions and just do graphics, because I love aesthetics. I love things that look good, feel good. And then I can speak to that thing, right? And so I always tell people my first client was God, because we were doing the work of the Lord. We just were doing the brochures and the obituaries for the church. So that to me was my first. But while I was in college, I took human services first at MATC. I left MATC, and I'm gonna tell you something. At graduation, I'll never forget, Sandra Chavez said to me, "Tam, you don't belong here." And I thought this Hispanic teacher was trying to tell me like I didn't belong at a 2-year technical college. Again, I felt rejected. I felt like, nobody ever wants me for me. Like, who am I? Why am I not good enough? Never was I good enough for anybody, even the man that disrupted my life. So at the end of the day, I went home and I prayed about it, and I came back and I said, "Miss Chavez, what do you mean by what you said?" She said, "You belong in a 4-year university." I said, "Miss Chavez, I never took the SAT or CK, whatever them test is, and I don't think I would even make it in there." She said, "What college would you want to go to?" I said, "Well, I want to go to Marquette University, because if I'm going to go, I'm going to always go for the top, because that's how God works for me." So I went ahead and I found a doctor over at the Phoenix University, Springfield University to be correct. And I asked him, would he mentor me? So for a whole entire summer, this man every Tuesday would take me to the War Memorial, and I would go in and meet with the people who actually ran the city in this particular group of people. And I would listen to them and I would take notes. So one day, Father Wow comes in, and he's over Marquette University. And I said, "Dr. Braden, you think that Father Wow would give me an audience? Would he talk to me? You think so?" He said, "You can try." I went home and I wrote a letter, and I told Dr. Braden to take this letter to Father Wow. And in the letter, I told him about living in the trailer park, how my best friend, Nathaniel, just 2 months into the trailer park, we had been friends for many years, because I would come to Chicago and stay with my grandmother in the summertime. And so Nathaniel became my little boyfriend because he looked out for me, right? Because I was pregnant and going to school at Dwight Eisenhower. He didn't want nothing to happen to me. But he also sold drugs. So one night he walked away from me at the park, and he went on over across the street. And the projects is across the street, and same place that Dwayne Wade is actually from, across the street at the projects in Robbins, Illinois. And that night, somebody blew his head off. That was it. That was my last hope of ever having a boyfriend or ever even feeling like I could get close to somebody, because once you've been raped and somebody then stole your pearls, there's nothing that you can get back from that. It's gone. It's taken. So I said in my letter, I told Father Wow my whole entire story. And he called upon me and said, "I want to do something for you." I said, "I don't know what that might be, but I'm going to go find out what this white man going to do for me." I did that. Because at that time, you got to know, I grew up in the Nation of Islam. So for us, I thought I was Angela Davis when I was younger. So anywho, did so. I go over to the college, and he talked to me. He told me, "Let's take a walk," and we walked the yard of Marquette, and he showed me the buildings. And I thought, oh yeah, he's taking the little black girl on a tour. But at the end of the tour, he gave me the McNair scholarship and paid for my entire time in college. It took me every bit of 7 years, because I knew I took every class I can think of. So first I started out with psychology, right? And so now I told you that for 2 years I was in human trafficking, and then there was the whole rape thing. And that trauma came back in class one day. And I literally had to stand there and face my truth and stand and say, "This is what happened to you." So I had to forgive me. I had to talk to me and tell me that, look, we got to get me some help. So God, I told you, is intentional. So first it was human services, then it was psychology, social welfare, and justice, because I was going to learn how to first take care of myself mentally. And then God sent me on the path to also be able to fight for other people, because I felt like nobody was fighting for me. So all of these things that happened in my world, in my life, were all by design. Nothing was by osmosis. It was all by design. Intentionality, when we talk about God, and exposure, because it's what you've been exposed to. So people have to know that I've been exposed to the streets. I've been exposed to some things that you probably wouldn't want the worst of your worst enemy to be sitting in, right? But it's been okay. I have endured this journey. So I don't never tell people that I'm a victim of anything. So when people say you're a victim of human trafficking, you're a victim of having a child at an early age, I am a survivor, darling. This is what survival looks like. And it looks good. So at the end of the day, I got into Marquette University. And while in there, I said, you know what? I'm going to quit. I'm telling you, this is all God's work. So I take School of Communication. I bring my son there one day, because my son at that time, he was in high school, finishing up high school. And Rashi is such an amazing young man. I love me some Rashi. And I said to him, I said, listen, I'm going to finish up this year. And so I'm going to walk out of here with my master's. I need you to walk in here when I walk out of here. So at that time, I finished up the School of Communication, and I decided, you know what, I want to go and I want to work for a major corporation. I thought I wanted a job. I ain't never had a job a day in my life. And so, so I went and got my daughter. We went on down to Dallas, Texas. And then our first job was doing securitizations and forensic audits for countrywide. So I used to do like all of the conversations with the banks and talk about the trust and declaring the trust and working with securities, right? Because it was a securities fraud at that time that was broken. Needless to say, on Thanksgiving Day, my daughter said, Mama, I don't like this place and I don't like these people. And I really didn't care for Dallas, Texas myself. So I got up and I went on and drove straight across town. I said, Amber, where you want to go? Because my daughter plays basketball. She said, I want to go to Charlotte, North Carolina. I ain't know nobody in Charlotte, North Carolina at all, not one person. But honey, if she want to go to Charlotte, we going to Charlotte. So we jump in the car and we ride 16 hours to Charlotte. When we get there, God blessed us within a week with a home. And at that time, I had financial freedom unknown to somebody that could flip it that quick. So the securitization business made me $250,000. And I was like, okay, that's it. I'm out. I'm out of here. I see Milwaukee later.
Come on now.
So after I'm finished with Charlotte, I get a job with the DNC, the Democratic Convention. Finished with Charlotte, I go on to Atlanta, Georgia. Now I'm gonna tell you how crazy I am. I said Amber off to college, so she went to Davidson. When Amber left, I was clueless. Like, what do I do from this point? So I heard about, I was a big fan of Dwight Eubanks. Honey, I love me some Dwight Eubanks to death. He was on Atlanta Housewives at that time. Mm-hmm. So I found out where the man do hair at, because he do hair at the Purple Door in Atlanta. So I got on the train, come on over to, I think, we took a car. We came over. We went from Charlotte to Atlanta, and I went straight to the salon, and I seen him. I said, you know what? I need to be your publicist. I need to work with you.
Oh,
and that's what we're doing. So I told him what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and I need you to be ready, okay? And he laughed. Oh, my God, this man got so much class. It's, for real. I don't wear St. John because he didn't tell me. I mean, I wear it because he tells me what looks good. And so anywho, let me just end it with this. He didn't call me the next day. Honey, I was flabbergasted. I said, I didn't came way down here. This is what I do. Fix my shirt, put my clothes back up here. Don't nobody tell me no. So the next day, my girlfriend Robin, who's a film producer down in Atlanta, she called. She said, Tam, listen, I gotta go get my hair done. Do you like the way your hair look? I said, yeah, I like the way my hair look. Want to go over to that salon again? I said, yeah, come get me. When I walk in, he runs up to me, kisses me all over my face. He said, baby, I was trying to find your number. I couldn't find it, honey. I'm so happy. So that right there was a love story made in heaven, honey. We was together every single day. I get up and I go down and I sit with him. And from there, I got NFL clients, this kind of client, this kind of client. I got on Bravo, working on the set and doing whatever, in PR that was needed. Never did I still work for anybody because I always hold down my own company. And what happened is one of the NFL players that I met, he had some concussions. And literally, when I went to the house, he had sticky notes all over the house. And I was like, what is this for? And he could not remember things. And the damage that those concussions did to him, he had, memory loss. So I started shopping him around to networks and started trying to produce some stuff that would probably give him a lot of media coverage so he could talk about this to make sure that parents knew that not only do NFL players, when they get to this pro side of the game, do they get concussions, but also your babies do. Because see, the brain is this one little shell, but the thing that the brain that's inside, that muscle, it can move around, that organ moves. So when it's jamming and you're banging it, you're doing damage to it that's long term. They said no. So I go and I say to sister, magazine publisher, I sit down with her and I said, you know what, listen, I got something I want you to look at. And I sent it to her. She said, oh, girl, this is good. I said, it's nothing. It's just a media kit thing that I've done. She said, no, this looks like a magazine. I said, really? What you think? I said, give me a few minutes. I'll be right back. So when people block me out and count me out, God will make room for me to get to that. He'll make room for me to build that thing. And brick by brick, when they throw me bricks, I take them and brick by brick, I build. So I just started putting it together, started talking to people, got on the phone, started calling dealerships, car dealerships, anybody. I need y'all to give me that money. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Come on, girl.
I'm gonna need you to get your life right. And so I got stuff, and I got t-shirts, which I need. This is what keep walking, trusting the process does for you. But let me just share one story with you. At the end of the day, what took me to the television network is it was all fun and games. And I had made it to the top of what I don't think I could have ever went any further than I did before Christmas came. And I was sitting there and I felt like, God, I have gotten so far away from you. I have gotten so far away from you here in Atlanta, Georgia, that I don't feel your presence with me. So one day I decided I'm going to jump in a car. I'm going to go to Camp Creek and I'm going to go back to where I came from. So I checked back into Holiday Inn. The young lady put me back into the same room that I came there. See, me and God, we got a different kind of relationship, darling. It's a little different when you lived in a cage in a basement and somebody was beating you every single day until he knocked you down a flight of stairs where I got a plate in the back of my head today. So when I got a different understanding about who God is, because if it wasn't for God, I would have never made it out that room. I used to write scripture on the basement floor and because I came up in that. I knew the Quran and I knew the Bible. But one thing I knew more importantly than all of those things is that I knew God for myself. So I used to tear in over that nature. So I said, I owe God something. And when God has his hand on your life and the anointing is on you, and you were brought here for a purpose and a reason, and God needs you in this season, he will move you. So you can either move or you will be moved. So you can feel it. And at that time, I felt it. I felt it. I said, wait a minute, hold on. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get in my car. I'm going to go out here to Camp Creek. I'm going to have the girl take the car back to the house, though. So I laid on the floor that night, and I remember calling one of my friends from the NBA, and I said to him, something just don't feel right, but I'm going to get it together, okay? And whatever happens, always know that I'm going to love you no matter what. I love all my clients, each and every one of them. I am their sister. You know what I'm saying? I defend their brands. I fight for them every single day I wake up. So anyways, I lay across the floor that night, and I began to pray. And I began to ask God to remove the things from my life and to set me to, I want to dance like David, God. I feel like in my spirit I'm sick and I want to touch the hem of your garment. I need to see your face and I need to know that where I'm at in my life is where you need me to be. And if it's not, remove me. That morning, God said, I want you to go to the airport. I want you to get a ticket. I said, okay, fine. I got a one-way ticket to Hawaii. I had my computer. I had a suitcase with just a few things in it. I never went back to the house. Everything I had, I gave it away. Because see, God said, put no graven image before me. And see, stuff and things have become too important to me. I have forgot the relationship me and him have. And when you in a relationship with God, the walk is so crazy to man because he knows not. He lives not in, there is two things that we are dealing with every single day. That's the spirit, and then there's that other stuff that we deal with. We won't speak on that. But needless to say, I jumped in that realm in my head and I got on the flight. I got off the plane in Hawaii. I had a computer, a couple of clothes, and my money. Of course. And needless to say, it was interesting because I had came during high season. Okay. High season means that at this point, everything on this island is at its highest point because people are coming over. The snowbirds are coming over. So hotel rooms are starting at 300 and up. Okay, so that means that for 10 days, Miss Tam gonna have to pay $3,000 to live on the island. Boo boo, you goofy, goofy. No, but I said, wait a minute, hold on. God is never taking me anywhere in my lifetime that He is not going to take care of me. Now watch how we do it, Jesus. Because I ride with you all the way. I ain't jumping out the car now, Jesus. I'm not going to complain with whatever I need to find on this island, whatever you need to see, because the experience was first, he said, put no graven image before me. See, stuff had became important. I had so much stuff and so many people in my head that it overwhelmed me to where I couldn't get the connection to him. And here on this island, I'm landlocked. Can't no friends come see me. Ain't nobody coming across the water. It's just me and you, Jesus, and I'm going to hang out with you. So I go to the Sea Cliff Resort, and when I get there, my timeshare got one night. I said, now, if this ain't one night with the king, what is? I told you I'm a comedian, so I started laughing. This has got to be really funny, Jesus. You were really hilarious, Jesus. So at that point, Jesus got a sense of humor for real. Did I hear him, or was it the vacation guy in my head? Because at that time, Gazoo was on my shoulder. Gazoo said, hello, dum-dum. And I was like, wait a minute, Fred. This ain't happening. Okay. So we doing it. I go, the next day, I grab my suitcase just like a little homeless child with an Apple computer and all this other stuff. And I go down to Alihi Buzz, which was a cafe owned by a really great friend of mine. But I didn't know anybody at this point. So I sit down and I'm having coffee and I'm working on my computer to try to find somewhere to stay. And this little gecko thing comes running across the board. And I screamed and I pushed the computer and the lady ran out and she's like, what's wrong? I said, I do rats, roaches, cats, dogs. I do anything. But that little green thing that just ran across here, honey, I don't do that.
That ain't what I do. That ain't what I do, player. I come from outside of Chicago. I ain't got time for little bitty green people running across my computer. And her name is Lori. God bless her soul. Her name is Lori, and she was an amazing woman because she sat down with me and said, "Where do you come from? Why did you come to the island? Are you visiting?" I was like, yes. I'm not visiting. God has brought me here. So we get to talking, and guess where Lori from?
Where's that?
She's from the east side of Chicago. So hi, Chicagoans, baby, we don't, when you mess with Chicago folks, they're a little different. They ain't gonna let you go, and they gonna stand with you. Okay. So Lori says, listen, I have a friend who owns this cafe. I think you need to meet her. She calls up her friend and she comes, and her name is Saifan, little bitty short tie lady. And so Saifan, she owns a bed and breakfast that's a 9-bedroom mansion. And I tell her that, listen, I need somewhere to stay. She said, I can give you a room for $90 a night. I stayed there, and this is God. I stayed there, and her and Lori was just so wonderful to me. And the room that she put me in, it had a picture, a large picture of an elephant on the wall, and that means abundance. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So they begin to teach on Kairos time and how in God's timing, things will happen. And so here we are in this wonderful space and time, and she began to talk to me about other things that she does. So Saifan owned the bed and breakfast, a yoga studio, and she owned a real estate company. Now, I told you a minute ago, I do real estate, and I know about forensic audits and securitizations. And so she has some friends that were losing their homes. She said, can they come and talk to you about it? I said, oh, that's not a problem. Still to this day, the friends that we went and talked to have still not paid a mortgage since the day I left. So at the end of the day, I ended up staying there for free. I would go every and I would walk down to the water. And I would sit there with T.D. Jakes in a book that Mayor Franklin Deese wrote. And I would read those books, and I would pray, and I would ask God for guidance. So after a while, it was time for me to get a car because I wanted to see the rest of the island by myself, and I wanted to ride. So I went inside Craigslist. They do have Craigslist out there. And I go inside Craigslist, and I looked for a vehicle. And so this little bitty car, and mind you, honey, I had been riding in Lexus ever since I got some money. I never wanted to be in another car. So the man pulled up, and he had a little Toyota Corolla. I said, oh yeah, I like that. That's nice. I could dig it. Remember now, simplify yourself. You got to come on down. And you're talking about somebody who got to really come on down. Because in Atlanta, if you didn't have no money, you better not mention my name. So I said, okay, God, I see what you're doing. I see you in your wonder. I'm going down to the Toyota Corolla. And so I get in, and me and him, we ride around. He let me test drive the car. We got to talking. He's a nurse. And oh gosh, he's really cool. He's also a real estate investor. So I introduced him to Saifan. I was like, listen, let me give you the phone, talk to Saifan. So they talk, right? They like each other. And anywho, he told me I'm gonna come back and after I pick up my wife. And so 4:00 came and he didn't show up. And I was like, wow, God, I thought you said I was gonna get a car today. You know, that's how me and you roll. What happened to the conversation we had last night? So about 4:15, 4:30, I look out the window and a truck pulls up. It's this big old truck pulling into the parkway. And I was like, wow, who is that? We got company? And then the blue little car comes around the back of it. And I said, that must be the guy and his wife in the truck.
So I come on down, I grab the money to pay him. And when I walk up to him, he said, God told me to give you the car. You return it when you leave the island, but you don't have to pay me. I said, okay, player, good looking out. That's how we do it, Jesus. That's what we doing, Jesus. So I ended up with the car, paid not one dime. Oh my God, it's so amazing how God works, because mind you, at this time, I didn't have to pay for groceries. I didn't pay for anything at all. I did the marketing for all of Siphon companies. If nothing else, I was getting paid. So it was like the God, he's so intentional. So after I get all of this wonderful good stuff, the car and living free, remind you, I don't even got to go to work. Because they cook and everything they cook is all vegan. So I'm good. I'm going to diet until I can't take it no more. And then I'm going to go find me some McDonald's. But okay. So I called my attorney and I said to him, wow, God is just really doing some things. I'm very humbled and moved by everything that they do. So everything that they've done for me, God, look at God. Thank you so much, Trey. And so, okay, here we go. Now I got to make another call, because I called my attorney. I said, you know what? I think it's time for me to get my own place, because I really do miss living by myself too. He said, this is what you do. He said, you do me a favor. Call the guy who rung you that car. Tell him that you're looking for a place. I said, okay, I'm going to do that. Okay. So I called him back and I said, listen, Michael, I'm thinking that I need to get a place ASAP. Do you know somebody that might have a place for sale? He said, give me a couple of days. I'm going to call you back. Okay, a couple of days go by. Now, mind you, I trust everything that he say, because he going to do what he do, right? And because he been okay with me. I mean, Hawaii, when you live on the other side with the Kamiana, which means with the everyday people on the island, you become family. You understand? Una, family, auntie, family. And so I said, okay, Mike, you call me back. You let me know. A couple of days later, he called me back. He said, Tam, I got a friend in Arizona who wants to sell his condo up in the hills. I said, really? Okay. Kalua Kana Hills. You gotta see it. It's beautiful. Honey, I drove up there, baby. I tell you, I was sick. Again, here come God. Now I said, I want to buy it. God said, you won't be here for long. So he knew this before I even signed the papers. So the guy, he called. Adam said, Tam, do you really like the place? I said, I love it. Listen, I'm literally up in the mountains and I can see the whole entire, ocean. I can see everything. I can hear the whale at night having babies. You understand what I'm talking about? Gucky frogs. And I love Mother Earth. Okay. So I can pick avocados off the tree and just make me a quick avocado dish. So eating, people would say Hawaii is so expensive. Listen, honey, you can walk down the street and pick all your food. It grows. If you're hungry after that, drink the water. You see what I'm saying? So I did that. I did it. I went up there. I moved into this place. Adam called me back and said, listen, I know you probably don't want to buy too fast because you want to get used to the island. How about you just go ahead and maintain the house and I'll take care of the mortgage? That's what I'm talking about. I said, okay, Jesus. Now, mind you, when God is showing you who he is, you can't forget about there is going to be a journey after this. So when I'm a journeyman, darling. No, I stay nowhere for long. So I already know that God is about to move me and there's going to be a shift. So one night we speak and God said, I need you to go see your mother. I said, you want me to go where? You want me to go back to the place that rejected me, that made me feel hate?
that made me feel not loved. You want me to get in my car. You want me to get on a plane, and you want me to go to Milwaukee, Wisconsin to go see who? Now, I don't know if this is Jesus, but it does sound like it's my Father talking to me. So I'm going to be obedient. I'm going to jump on this flight. Now, God, I don't know if I'm coming back, but it sure was nice. And I thank you for the 2 years that you invested in me, because that was what he had at that time. It was some maturing. It was some nurturing. There was some things that God had to clean up and had to it was just so much work that he had to do, you see? So when it's just like the wine press, you ever see the wines when they go through the press and you got to get all of the material out of it and clean it up and get it ready for the big time. God had that time with me. We were there. We were walking together. We were talking together. And that night, sometimes I danced like David in the middle of the road because there wasn't any cars coming. And I would talk to guppy frogs from the park. And, just all this beautiful stuff happened there. And I came home on Mother's Day. I'll never forget. And I was standing on the side of my mother's chair, and she said, "Stay until I pass away. Will you stay?" I never went back. Trust the process. Trust the process.
Girl, honey, I was reading the comments as you were talking, and baby, you are blessing these folks on tonight, honey. You hear me? You are blessing these folks. So I'm going to go into my next question because I know that time is starting to get a little limited. Okay, let me not be loquacious. Okay. Okay. So, all right. So I know that right now you are what I consider, and what a lot of people, especially in the U.S., we consider you a powerhouse. You are one of those people that we look at and we're like, wow, I aspire to be some like that. I want to be successful like that. I know that right now you have a film festival that you're actually putting together, but this is not just a regular film festival. This is the first of its kind. So tell us a little bit more about the film festival and what can the people actually expect from it?
Okay, so let me just clear up the fact that you asked me a question and I didn't answer your question earlier, and I'm sorry. So in October last year on the 19th, I purchased a development package to help me put my application, which is a TV network, inside of the Roku, Amazon, and Apple TV. So now that I am surfacing or streaming into 160 million households, we sell channels to people who want to put their wonderful and amazing content up. And I believe that is so important for us to show people our experiences in life, as I've just shared with you tonight, because that you've been exposed. So now nobody can ever tell my story better than I can. So now I'm glad that I got a chance. And I always thought I wait to that moment to share it on Oprah show. So when I sit here and I said, you know what, I'm going to do a film festival. Now I started out the film festival because I wanted to see film producers come to the network and put their content on the network and stream, right? But then something else happened. I told you God is intentional. He will tell me to go do something, but then the intent will change. And you'll be like, Jesus, why can't we just like everybody else? Why can't I just be normal, Jesus? Sometimes you just, you know what I'm saying? I'll be in the middle of a meeting and I just start quoting scriptures. What that got to do with capitalism? I'm dead serious. Sometimes I don't know what that is, but it moves in Kairos time. So people don't understand me when I'm saying let's go. So this film festival is the first of its kind to stream on smart TV devices. We are on Roku, Amazon, and Apple TV. And the wonderful thing about it is that we own the airwaves. So nobody can tell us what we can put on it, when we can put it on. I decided I'm going to buy that situation and develop the app so that nobody can ever tell us what to do.
We are our own kings and queens. That cannot fix my crown.
Hey, come on, somebody. So that actually leads me into my last question of the night. So you actually touched on it just a little bit. So when I was younger, I've always wanted to be on TV. I've always just thought that I had the face for it. You know, at the time I was skinny. And, I just always thought that I just belonged on TV. And I ended up meeting this woman named Tam Lawrence. And a lot of people have been inboxing and they were trying to figure out exactly what all of this stuff is that I said is coming. And when I met this woman named Tam Lawrence, Tam actually, this is the first that I'm going to be announcing this. Tam actually gave me the opportunity to be on TV starting January of 2021. So thank you so much, Tam. So I had to, kind of put that in there. So, but anyway,
that was your PR
moment. Because, I hadn't talked about it. I had been waiting, and I knew that I wanted to interview you. So I didn't want to actually give it away too soon. And then people are just like, well, what is that? And I'm like, no, I want to wait. And I want Tam to actually come on and talk about it a little bit before I actually unveil what it is. So going into all of these households, actually owning the airwaves and things like that, what made you say, you know what, hey, let's do it this way. Let's do it via streaming instead of just going on cable. Because everyone has cable now, right? So why stream instead of just going on cable?
Cable television is like VCRs and reel-to-reel and DVDs and 45s. We're not there no more. We're not there no more. And so when you're looking for the consumers that will have disposable income, let me just say that pandemics don't plan, but you can, first and foremost. So at the end of the day, when you are looking at technology taking off as it has, technology, there are companies that are turning around. My daughter turned her company around at $3.2 million. That's what she's valued at right now. And that's just an app. She doesn't even have to get up and go to work. Literally in the pandemic, Amber moved to LA, lives across the street from the Staples Center, and at $3.2 million. I'm also, when I talk to these young people, these are Instagram influencers live in the same building with her. These kids are making millions of dollars in technology. Airbnb, Uber, can I go on? The list goes on and on. It is simply because streaming is the next TV, is the next portal for how you'll get or how you'll consume content, video content, right? So let's just say this. During COVID-19, we also saw that not Uber, but Roku did $1.6 billion. The government said,
I'm sorry, say that one more time. Say that one more time. But what was that? You said million or billion? I want to be sure.
No, billion with a B, darling. Billion. Ooh. I do.
Okay. Please continue.
Roku do that. You got to go back over to some of the other companies that during that time, let me just say this. When we say, where does the money come from? It comes from advertisement. So you say, well, advertisers aren't buying advertisement. Now that's a lie because we're in a virtual society now. Essentially, everybody has to buy advertisement because you have to be able to get your business in front of consumers, and consumers are going non-essential and essential. So they're not going out to the corner to the store to a boutique and things like that. I'm not taking the risk of catching coronavirus to go get a pair of new shoes. So if you send me some advertisement via email and I see a coupon from Gohan, I'm at you. It just is. I'm just saying this is what I do. So you look at the margins and the numbers and the evaluations of technology versus brick and mortar or retail. And, Shopify. Look at some people from Shopify making six-figure incomes now. So these are all software solutions. I know for a fact that we have to get into television, which Malcolm X said is one of the most powerful instruments. If you did not see George Floyd's death, would you believe that it happened the way that it happened? You could question it, but you can't question it because you saw it. Media has the ability, remember, to make the innocent guilty and the guilty innocent. So to own this thing is to change the narrative and the trajectory of our community by us coming together as a community and creating content and putting it on the network, and let's filter in to our households content that shows us in a positive light. See, people, we got to rehumanize how people see African Americans in America. If all you see is negative stuff about us on the late night news, if all you see is drug movies and cartel and drugs, violence, and prostitution associated with us, then what do you make, or how do you define us? So we have to be willing to take over these airwaves. And I'm just so sorry that it isn't the way that people think I should have did it. You know what I'm saying? I should have called it Black Night, Black TV, but let BET and Viacom steal that. But when you live in a monarchy in which you do not control, these is the Romans and the Vikings. These people run a barbaric society because they're very animalistic. So they didn't post Jim Crow on a pole and say, hey, we're going to pull a Jim Crow on y'all, did they? So sometimes we have to go through the same commercialized doors and do it the same way that they did. So me buying a network and calling it exposure, it's only exposing what's true. I speak truth to power.
Girl, let me tell you, Tam, I knew I was in for a treat when I said, Tam, I called you up. I'm like, Tam, let me interview you. I already knew I was in for a treat, but girl, let me tell you, if I was Patti LaBelle, my heels would have been kicked off already. You hear me? Oh my gosh. So this is my last thing. I know I said it before, but no, this is my last one. So I know that, you know, a lot of other people aspire to be on TV. A lot of other people aspire to be in magazines. A lot of other individuals are looking to actually have the correct exposure. Many people want to run businesses and write books and things like that, and they believe that they're going to be successful with it. And let's face it, most people would be if they had the correct publicist or the correct marketing to market their idea. How would a person be able to contact you? Brandy, I need you to get ready, girl. How would a person be able to contact you to be able to have a consultation with you, to hire you? How would a person be able to contact you?
You could go to artandkinsley.com, artandkinsleyllc.com, or just find Tam Lawrence on LinkedIn. And I think LinkedIn is like the easiest way to find me because that's kind of my hangout. I partially hang out on Facebook, but LinkedIn is truly my hangout. So Tam Lawrence on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there y'all have it, ladies and gentlemen. I have had this woman sit and pour her heart, her soul into y'all. Okay. I'm gonna go cry when I get off this camera. But anyway, so I've had her actually sit here and pour her heart and soul out for you guys to be able to educate you all, to be able to show you that there is power in being exposed correctly. And this woman has done just that. We didn't have enough time to actually go over her entire career and all of the many different things that she's done, the many different people that she has actually gotten the opportunity to work with. However, I do know that I have been so blessed since I've gotten the opportunity to meet this woman, okay? And I want you all to have that same blessing as well. So I would definitely say if you are looking to go and have you getting a new publicist, if you're looking to get the actual marketing that you are looking for, whatever it is that you are looking for, and it has to deal with the airways, the byways, and the highways, Tam Lawrence is the person to go and see about that, okay? Working with her, it is such a blessing because I know that starting...
Can I just really, really quickly... not only did, when I came home, I'm also a state of Wisconsin registered lobbyist, right? So right now I'm lobbying for senior care to protect our seniors, and I have a campaign that's coming up soon. So I just want to throw that out there so that you guys please stay with me, connect with me, keep me in prayer. Because let me just tell you how intentional God is last week, Saturday, I lost my taste and my smell. But see, the God that I serve, you understand what I'm saying to you? The God that I'm serving, my mother tested positive for for coronavirus or whatever the case is. But when I go to her, my mother has dementia, and I said, Mom, what will happen to us? And she said, you got so much purpose, and you have so much more work to do. You ain't going nowhere. So I stand before you today with slight taste, and I continue to keep working. I pushed 16 hours. So let me tell you something. He said, if you come to Tam, she can do this. If you come to Tam, she can do that. Let me tell y'all something, that Tam can't do nothing that you ain't willing to do for yourself. See, God is intentional. I mean, they keep saying intentional. You have to have the intent. See, somebody said, who would you tell me to follow if you were if you needed to point me in the right direction? And see, somebody that's successful, they put in the grit, they put in the work. You got to work it. I work around the clock so that I don't never have to go to somebody else's plantation and answer to somebody. I remember a white man once telling me that I said, you ask me to do something. He said, no, I tell you what to do. I said, no, nobody will ever tell me what to do in this lifetime. See, so when you really want to control your life and your space and create generational wealth for your children, or to create a bridge for our children to come, to cross, for them to stand on our shoulders as we stand on our ancestors' shoulders today, then you are willing to put in the work. Some people stand before us and they question everything it is to get into business with Black people. We question it. Should I do it? Should I do it? Should I go pray on it? But God opened up a window of opportunity for you. But if you come into that with a negative disposition and you don't trust nobody, guess what happens for you, son? Nothing. Because see, you don't trust the process. I trust even the ship that's coming by with holes in it. You know why? Because God would plug it up. He said, ye with so little faith, I'm on this boat. So I'm going to get on that boat. And while it's coming through, I don't know what it needs to look like. Even today, if something came through, even if I have the money to catch the best flight or get in the Bentley or a Rolls, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to get into one thing that God said I want you to get in right here with these people. So nobody is ever above. Nobody is ever below us. And that's why it's so important for us to love on each other today. To love on each other, to get past all the trauma and things that we've been through in life so that we can survive. But if you keep acting like a victim, and every time you come to a situation, you got on woe is me, this happened to me, and you keep on picking and nitpicking, and you looking for everything that you can find that's wrong with somebody, you're going to find it eventually. Because see, wherever you got chaos in your brain and your mind and in that situation, God can't be in the midst of that. But if me and you, we come together and we gather and we agree, we declare and we agree, then God is in the midst of that. We just got to stay prayed up. That's all we got to do. We got to stay prayed up. So if I say one thing to you, just please stop for just a second and start to live in your truth and be authentically you. Stop with the mischievousness, because when you do that mischievous garbage, then you cause your own affliction to happen. God can't help you. God can't be in the midst of that because he is nowhere in the midst of confusion. So the white people put us in these positions that we are in, and that's what this is what the film festival was about. We have to take accountability for why we in the situation we in. Because there's some people that will judge me for human trafficking. There's some people who will reject me. But honey, let me tell you something. Any rejection is the Lord's protection. So I ain't even worried about you.
I'm worried about if I hold all of this in and I don't tell what God has done for me, that somebody else might not hear it. And that somebody that is listening to the sound of my voice may have been saved from maybe making the wrong decision or staying with the wrong man or standing around people who gonna keep on tearing you down. Listen, I don't sit at the same table with Judas because he might sell me for 40 pieces of slaves for silver. So I run with God all day long, even in the midst. Even in the midst, he was there in the midst with us. So trust the process. And when you're going through and you don't know why nothing is happening the way that you want it to happen, and you feel like everybody is rejecting you, listen, nobody ever asked me to stand on their same platform. People always looked at me and said, oh, she'll show me up, or she'll do this, or she won't. You know, nobody ever asked me to do any of these things. I never got an invite to speak on somebody else's platform. I had to always go and create my own. However, God said, I'm holding you and saving you up for a greater situation. So stand down. So sometimes when we in the war, we ain't got to always fight. My mother said, pick your battle. So I choose mine. I'm not at war with anybody, nor am I in competition with anybody. My cup runneth over.
Come on now.
It's because Come on now. Have a giving heart. When you give ungrudgingly, and you give and you give and you give, don't worry about nobody do this for me and nobody do this for me. Nobody. God is doing something for you. He sees your intent. It is the matters of your heart. Continue to keep giving. Continue to keep loving on people. Because see, in the dark place, in the dark world, we need people to love on one another. We need you to shine like no other right now, because that is exactly the assignment that we are all on in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of a president number 545 who don't understand, who keep on pushing all of this negative stuff. He ain't did nothing. The prophecy is coming to pass. We have to stop living in the carnal world and live in the spiritual world. These things shall come to pass. God inspired King to write that, and in in Revelations, this too shall come to pass. False prophets shall arrive. Everything that we are seeing right now is happening because God said so. So let it be done. And if you are saved and you are prayed up and you are in the right space, then you ain't even worried about it. If God took me today for Corona, if God take me tomorrow, I lived a good life. I had amazing children. My son is in law school. My daughter is doing so amazing out there in California. What can I ask for now? I ask nothing of you but to work for you, my Lord. To work for you. That's all I want, my Lord. Just to work for you, to love on you, to wake up every single day knowing that my bills is paid, you are taking care of me, the people around me are making it. Some of my friends have went and did some amazing things. I love to see my people soar. I love to see my people soar. Fly on, eagle. Go on, little blackbird.
I love it. I love it. Girl, baby, let me tell you something. You just had a whole download and you just poured into these people. Thank you. Thank you. So oh my God, like, oh girl, you got me like, so, oh my gosh. Tam, you are amazing. I am, however, I am going to connect you with someone. I believe that you all would be such a blessing to each other. Antoinette Marie Williams. Marie Williams.
I talked to her already.
Yeah, so absolutely amazing.
I thought you had one my husband. Where you go? Michael, you ain't right. I thought you was talking about my husband. Oh, Jesus.
Well, tell you what, girl. I got you. I got you. Okay, I got you, boo. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, you guys have the information in the comments. If you would like to reach out to Tam, go ahead, click on, go to either LinkedIn or it's in the comments. I saw Tracy put it up there too. And I also know that Brandy actually has it going across the screen. She has the website down there. She has all of that, honey, because I am not tech savvy. So thank you so much, Brandy. I appreciate you, AKA the connector. If she can't connect you, then it can't be done. So I just want to say thank you so much again for coming on. I really, really, really appreciated you. And guys that actually tuned in, my guys, my girls, my peeps, thank you all so much for joining us on this Saturday Nugget. Tam, I'm pretty sure that you know that there is a reason that I called it a Saturday, a September to remember, because each interview built on top to the last one. And girl, let me tell you, baby, you took it all the way home, honey. I handed you the rock and you said, get out the way, honey, because I'm stiff arming everybody, honey. You better go. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are awesome. I love you guys. I will talk to you all soon. And yeah, don't do nothing I wouldn't do. I'm getting ready to go eat. Love you. Bye.